Hi, this is Chek. Today I thought I'd go a little into something different. We've talked about a lot of the serious life issues and metaphysical issues in my blog, so today I thought let's talk about something simple but important, like your butt muscles. Everybody wants to have a nice looking butt. When we have a nice looking butt, it means that we are centered, we have some power, some stability, we can move, we can lift things. Your butt muscles are very important to explosive movements, to rotational movements such as throwing things, protecting yourself, moving objects, and your butt muscles are very, very important to the stability of your low back. In fact, people that have weak butt muscles are often more susceptible to back problems, especially if they have to bend over and pick up heavy things, because your gluteus maximus muscle is not only a powerful extensor of the hip, but it's an extensor of the trunk muscles. Now, I did a lot of research using EMG, electromyography, in my earlier years when I owned a physical therapy clinic and was doing a lot of very specific musculoskeletal and orthopedic rehabilitation. And one of the things that was very interesting when I did my training with the famous physical therapist Barbara Headley is that we hooked people up to EMGs and tried to get their butt muscles to fire, doing all sorts of things from steppers to bending to lunging and jumping. And the interesting thing is the butt muscles won't fire very effectively till you get the thigh about parallel to the ground. If you're sprinting, they'll fire under acceleration for very short periods of time. But when it comes to doing exercises that involve the hamstrings, the butt, and the back muscles, the hamstrings have a real tendency to do a lot of the work, and so do the low back muscles, which have more slow twitch muscle fiber in them than the butt muscles, which are predominantly fast twitch. The hamstrings are predominantly fast twitch as well, but they have such a dual function for supporting the pelvic girdle and low back that they often become workaholics, which we see in patients with low back pain. So to get your butt muscles to fire, it's important to remember that if you're going to do an exercise such as stair climbing, going upstairs, you want to take 2 steps as long as you're strong enough. You need to build yourself up so you get that thigh parallel. Then when you're here, you've got to come up. The butt muscles will fire, but there's also another component is that you want to accelerate your body. So you want to move as quickly as you can. So one of the exercises I give people that are ready for an exercise that moves with a little speed is called the box step with a kick. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to mimic the gait cycle. The exercise starts from here, you step up. Remember, if your right leg's going up, your left arm should be up. And then as you come up on the bench, you're going to accelerate yourself up just like a sprinter and go right up onto your toes. I'm only using this bench because I need the height. You can use box steps of various heights, but remember, your goal is to get that thigh to parallel. Typically, you don't want to do more than about 8 to 12 seconds of this exercise on any given leg, because the fast twitch fibers will fatigue and then you'll start losing form, your speed will drop down, and you won't be getting quite such good butt training, but you might start getting more emphasis on the hamstrings and low back as the butt muscles fatigue. So let me just show you what the exercise looks like in real time. You're going to come in, step, fast, boom, back, step, whoo, boom, back, step, quick, boom. And you can pull that other leg through, bang! So you get some real movement right up on the toes, wow, whoo! Okay, then you switch legs. Okay, so typically I do about 10 reps on each side per set. If you start feeling like you're slowing down, then that's the end of the set. You want to keep going as fast as you can with good form. Accelerate your way through. Come right up onto your toes. Remember to use the counter arm and counter leg movement, because your extension from the hip, when you're driving with this hip, you need the opposite arm to counterbalance to stabilize the spine. Give yourself at least 2 minutes of rest. If you go back to your next set and you feel like you're dropping more than 10% performance in a set, it means you need more rest. If you give yourself up to 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes rest, and you're doing the exercise with just body weight, and you still feel like you're 10% or more below your best performance, it means that your nervous system's too tired. So that would be it for the exercise that day. Now my next tip is, many people want to pick up weights and do the exercise with weights in their hands. Now, that's okay, and oftentimes our ego needs to have some weights in our hands so we don't look like we're not doing anything in a gym and all sorts of other stuff. But I would warn you that even small weights cause so much slowing down of the action of the arms that you lose that explosive carry through. So really what happens is you end up struggling quite a bit, and you don't get the explosiveness that you would without the weights. So until you can do 3 or 4 good sets very explosively and keep a good crisp performance for all those reps through each of the sets, I wouldn't even consider adding any weights in your hands. And then I would start with very small weights, all the way down to maybe even a roll of quarters, for example, maybe 1 or 2 pounds, because even though the weight looks small, if you put your arm out, research shows that whatever weight you're holding in your hand produces about 10 times that much force in your low back when held at arm's length. So when you're trying to accelerate weights really quick, that much load can slow your arms way down relative to what your legs are doing. So it can create an asynchrony or a discoordination between the arms and legs. And it ends up training you to struggle. And the brain always remembers the reps that are the most threatening to the system. So you could do 8 or 10 great reps, and then your last 2, you're struggling, and your nervous system will remember the ones that were most threatening to the system. So it's bad motor programming. So there's my tips for a healthy butt. You want to use explosive movements. Train yourself to get strong enough to keep the thigh at about this level for training height. Move quickly and explosively. Use counter-rotational movements of the arm. And when you're on the box, come right up onto the toe and extend the hip. So as you're coming up, extend that hip right through the movement like a sprinter coming up out of the blocks. And you'll know, because your butt will swell up like a marshmallow, and you'll say, "Oh, great spirit, I'm doing something today in the gym." Thanks for joining me. Have a better butt and a better back. I'll see you next time.